Hi, I've just received my box from Blitsy. This is my latest order and I thought I'd just do an unboxing of this. Okay, so this is what's in the box. So I'll just put the box to the side and take things out. So the first thing that I see in the box are these stamps. So these are Kelly Creates stamps. So this one is wreaths. I thought these would be nice in my journaling. Mandala, and I think there's 2 complete mandalas and then a half mandala. Some journaling stamps. 7-piece stamp set, that one. These calendar stamps, which I'm most excited about for my journal. There's the days of the week and the months of the year here, and also weekly goals notes. Across the top here you've got 1 to 31 for the days of the month, and then you've got each of the months there, so you can just put ink on the relevant month that you're journaling about. Then there are these flags, time, week, year. There's a Sunday to Saturday tracker, the little tracker grid pattern, and there's a list Sunday to Saturday. So they look like fantastic journaling stamps. And then there's these beauties, these floral stamps. They are fantastic. They look really nice. They'll be really good for journaling. You could use this one like along the side of a page, or the top, or the bottom. It can be you could build it into a border, anything. And then there's all these other floral elements for journaling. So that's fantastic. So 2 of those stamps, this one which is called floral stamps, and this one which is called calendar stamps, are a very large size. And then the other 3 are sort of a half size of this one. This one's called journaling stamps, mandala and wreath. So they'll be fun to play with in my journal. The next thing is a Jane Davenport splat mat, it's called. So I have a Ken Oliver best craft mat ever, but this one's prettier. It's got the scalloped edging and a design on it, so that's what that's for. The next thing is a Making Connections calendar words for small brush tip pens workbook, which is actually larger than I thought it would be. And there's a Learn Bouncy brush lettering for small brush tip pens. So these are like the workbooks that I already have for learning brush lettering, but with these ones I've only bought the small brush tip pens, whereas the first workbook which came out, the Learn Brush Lettering, I've bought it in the small and the large brush tip pen, but I haven't even unwrapped the large brush tip pen yet. So I thought maybe I'd just confine myself to learning with a small brush for now. So I want to finish my Learn Brush Lettering before I actually move on to the Learn Bouncy brush lettering book. But this is set up in the same way as my Learn Brush Lettering, as is the Making Connections calendar words. So what I'll do is open these in a little bit and we'll have a bit of a flick through. There's just one other thing that I bought in the box, which is this little gadget. It's a little handheld sewing machine, which I'm hoping will be handy in my crafting. I've read good and bad reviews about it, so I'm not too sure, but it was fairly affordable and I thought I'd give it a go. And that's everything. I'll just take that out. That's everything that was in the box. What I'd like to do now is just have a look in these two workbooks by Kelly Creates. So first of all, just to compare the two workbooks, you can see the pages are the identical size. It's just that this one is spiral bound at the top, just like the Learn Brush Lettering one is, whereas this one is spiral bound on the long side, which is I think why I thought it was half the size of this one. This is Kelly Creates Learn Bouncy Brush Lettering for small brush tip pens. I'm currently working my way through her Learn Brush Lettering for small brush tip pens, and I have a previous video which has a walkthrough of that if you're interested. I feel like learning the bouncy brush lettering is almost something to do after you've learnt the basic brush lettering, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so there's an introduction from Kelly. There's a little bit about the pens and paper to use and the importance of practice. There's some examples here showing the different small and capital letters in a more bouncy style. Okay, and then it's set up like the other workbook, so it's basic strokes and drills, and then in front of every page there will be 3 sheets of tracing paper. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 sheets of tracing paper, and then there's the workbook page. So this is an up and down combo page, and the intention is that what you'll do is you'll put the tracing paper on top of the workbook page. You'll also just put the workbook down so the page is flatter on the table for your hand, and you can trace, and that's all to build up muscle memory. Okay, so we've got that up and down combo. Then there's the under and overturn, compound curves and reverse compound curves, ascender and descender loops. I'm just noticing the page numbers on here. I'm not sure if the original workbook had the page numbers, so the page numbers are quite handy actually. It's a good addition. Then we've got the ovals and reverse ovals. And then it's the lowercase alphabet. And just like in the original Learn Brush Lettering workbook, it's going through from the easiest letter to the most difficult letter. So the first letters that you learn to do are I and T. And you can see with the bouncy lettering, you're sort of going below the line. It's a different style than with the Learn Brush Lettering. And so that will go through the letters in the order of difficulty. Another thing I really like about the way Kelly has her workbook is she breaks down each letter into the components when you then lift the pen. So you can see here there's a dot where you start, and then you can go to here and then lift the pen, and then there's the next bit, and then you can put those 2 pieces together, and you can trace all of these letters, building up a really good muscle memory. And then you have a couple of lines just to try and freehand it yourself. And then we have Z and we have two different styles of the letter Z. And then R and S, and that's the end of the lowercase alphabet. And then there's a section for the uppercase alphabet, and this one Kelly goes through in alphabetical order. So once again, each letter is broken down to where you lift the pen, then there's some for tracing and then some for freehand. And so it just goes through in alphabetical order. So you can see W, X, Y, Z. And then a page, congratulations on completing the lettering workbook. So that looks really good, and it's a slightly different style. It's a more modern style, I suppose, than the Learn Brush Lettering workbook, which I'm going through at the moment. So I guess in summary, you'll learn to letter like this. So that's quite different from the other brush lettering, but I still feel it'll be a good idea to work my way through the Learn Brush Lettering workbook and then try and do the Bouncy, because the Bouncy is different, but maybe if I've got the foundations there, then I'll find the Bouncy a bit more easy. Maybe. Okay, so that's that one. And then this is the Making Connections Calendar Words book. So if we put the two books on top of each other, you can see the pages are the same size. It's just this workbook is spiral bound at the top and this workbook is spiral bound along the long side of it. So it's designed to use in just the same way, with 3 sheets of tracing paper in front of each workbook. So there's a welcome, and then it says there'll be calendar words, times and seasons, and colours. So here we have calendar words, and then there'll be the 3 sheets of tracing paper. 1, 2, 3, and then the page. So this looks really good. It's got little dots for where you start and where you lift your pen, and it's actually alternating each pen move with a darker grey and then a lighter grey. So they're the months of the year, so one assumes it'll go through January, February. After the months, there are the days, starting with Sunday. Each new word is broken down into the different letters and where you need to lift the pen. And then the next section is times and seasons. We have colours. Then we've got the congrats on completing. So this workbook is also designed to use the same way. So to get the page that you want to work with, and just spin it on the spiral so that this page is flat to your work surface, and then to get your piece of tracing paper on top of there, and you can trace, and then there's also some lines for you to try and freehand after you've traced. And there's 3 pieces of tracing paper for each workbook page, so you can go through doing that 3 times, and then you can always use other tracing paper if you'd like more practice. So the lettering style of this Making Connections calendar words, it looks like the lettering style of the original Learn Brush Lettering workbook rather than the Bouncy. So everything's along the line, whereas in the Bouncy it's more modern, a bit more, I don't know how to say it, bouncy maybe is the word. But it's just a bit of a more modern lettering style, so you're not so confined to having it all straight on the line, you're up and down with it. So this workbook actually could be a really good one for me to use after I've worked my way through my Learn Brush Lettering workbook, and then I could use this one to actually make some connections and make some words. And then I could move on to the Bouncy brush lettering. So I also noticed that the small brush tip pen workbooks have pink along the top. Okay, so that's them there. If you'd like to have a look at this Stitch Sew Quick handheld cordless mending machine, I'll just have a look in the box now. Thankfully it comes with instructions. We seem to have a little bag here with some 3 needles, 3 bobbins which are actually preloaded with black, red and blue, and whatever that is. It's called an extension spindle. Okay, so there's an extension spindle and there's a threader, and then this will be the machine itself. Okay, and there's actually a little bit of fabric inside the machine. I think I'm probably going to read the instructions and have a look at it, and maybe I can put another tutorial up if you're interested in seeing how this works.